Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today on When I'm Wonder Wednesday, we're going to be answering a question that someone asked me on my Instagram. This person is the parent of a child who has one arm, and they were wondering if I had any tips on how best to raise them or how to support them. I thought that it would be a good idea to go ahead and share this information with all of you in case you're a parent who also has a kid with a difference, not a disability, but a difference, then this video is for you. And if this is your first time on my channel, click the little card thing and you can get an explanation for why I have one arm and what this channel is about. Alright, let's get into it. So it's raining. So the first thing that I want to say is that as a parent, you set the tone for your child's difference. So it's really important to be careful with your words and don't just assume that because they have some sort of circumstance that they can't do something. Always give them the opportunity to be creative and to try to complete tasks without your help. I'm very lucky that my parents, they both told me to always just make it work, and I could never play the one-arm card. For that, I'm extremely grateful because it really pushed me to be able to be independent. And so as a parent, I can imagine that it's hard to see your kids struggle, but in that struggle they will grow as a human leaps and bounds more than if you were to do the task for them. When I say watch your words, language is so powerful and it's often used quite carelessly. Our words, make sure your words have conviction, right? Make sure what you say is what you mean. I would be mindful of expressions like, oh, well, Susie can't do that because she has one arm. And your words don't limit their abilities. I guess here I'll touch on why I use the word different abilities and not disabilities. And this is because I feel that the word disabilities preconceives one's successes and one's failures. I don't think that any human being should be able to go ahead and say what someone is capable of and what they're not capable of. Only that person can determine that for themselves. That's why I really don't like the word disability, because I think that it carries a lot of negative connotation. Alright, so then my second tip for if you're a parent with a kid with a difference is to make sure that they stay involved in something like an athletic passion or a hobby or something that they can have a stable group of people that they can all bond with. Now the reason why I say that it's important to have some sort of extracurricular activity is because for me, I changed schools quite a bit, and every time I changed schools, I had to reintroduce myself and I had to reprove myself. Kids can be quite cruel, and when kids don't understand something, kids will ignore or kids will leave out and ostracize people that they think is an other or that they think is odd. If your kid does change schools but he or she has some sort of community that is solid and consistent throughout their life, then they'll have that resource and that support. I guess what I'm trying to say is people just need to see that you're normal. Unfortunately, in our society, we have a lot of preconceived notions about people with differences or disabilities. Okay, and then the third thing I would really emphasize is that as a parent, you need to emphasize that their circumstance is a fact and not an excuse. My parents, as I said before, rarely ever allowed me to play the one-arm card, but because they both just had an attitude of she's gonna be just like everybody else and she's gonna do everything like everybody else. I was never in physical therapy. I was never in some sort of support community. I've never been to a special camp. In a huge regard, it's been a very positive thing because I have been able to be independent and be just like everybody else. And then the fourth thing that I would say is to always acknowledge your kid for their strength. Every now and then allow them to be creative and then praise them for that creativity. You know, say, oh wow, that was so innovative of you to do it this way, or acknowledge them that they do have it in a sense more challenging than other people do in certain situations. Everyone just wants to be acknowledged. Everyone wants to feel like they're seen. For example, I played basketball for a season and I had to figure out, okay, if the ball is on the floor, how am I going to pick up the ball and how am I going to do it in a timely manner so that way I don't impact my team in a negative way. So my way of doing it was that if the ball's on the floor, I would pick up the ball with my foot and my hand, and I would have to do it quickly. I remember when I figured that out, I was really proud of myself, and I was kind of looking for my family members to be like, wow, that was like innovative of you, that was creative. And they never did. I'm not bashing my family members, I'm just saying that that's an opportunity. Just give them a compliment, you know, because you really do have to think in different ways, and praising creativity and praising innovation is really important. Okay, and then the next thing that I'll say, it's really important to teach your kid that the body is just a body. Believing that you are your body means that if you're missing a body part, that you're somehow less of a human being than someone who isn't missing a body part. There's this philosophical argument that I really love. Basically, you have a bicycle and it's brand new, but all of a sudden you have to replace the tire, so you replace it. Do you still consider that bicycle the same bike as the original? And then over time, you slowly replace parts on this bicycle, and then you get to a point where there are fewer original parts than there are new parts. Do you still consider the bike the same bike? What I'm getting at is that if you or your kid has the belief that who they are is their body, that if they're missing something of their body, or they're missing some sort of ability, sense, then they are somehow less of a human being than someone who isn't missing these things. Does this make sense? Seeing and understanding that you are not your body, you are the essence, the spirit that resides in the body, then that is incredibly freeing and empowering, because it's like this body is just my spaceship, it's just my vehicle. It has nothing to do with who I am as a human being. This is just what I look like. It's unfortunate that we as creatures are incredibly visual creatures. We're constantly being judged by how we look, even though how we look doesn't have everything to do with who we are. And so I think that that's really important for a child to understand, that just because they're missing something doesn't mean that they're less of a human being, or that they have any sort of less importance, I guess. And the last couple things is you have to teach your kid the power of positive self-talk. And I think this is true for any kid, but especially a kid with the difference, is that you may have bullying for your kid. You may have all these different people doubting them, putting them down, saying that they can't do something, underestimating them. They have to be their biggest cheerleader and their biggest advocate. It's really just important to emphasize that to your kid and teach them how to do positive self-talk. If you don't know how to do positive self-talk, you better learn, because your kid will be any kid is constantly downloading information from their environment, from their parents. And so if you have subconscious dialogue that's actually negative that you don't realize, or if you have subconscious habits that are negative and you don't realize it, that kid is going to download those programs. So teaching your kid the power of self-talk that's positive will help them be their biggest advocate. The importance of travel. So I'm very lucky in that I've had the opportunity to travel with a lot of different student ambassador programs, which I'll put the names of all of them below. Just to name a few off the top of my head: People to People, Students on Ice, National Geographic. Traveling was incredibly important for me because it showed me that there are other ways of life and there are other people that have different values in the US. The US really idolizes perfection, and so having one arm, you get into this really weird body image, especially being a female. It becomes very challenging when you think that this is all that there is, and it can be quite hindering whenever you don't fit that. And same for any beauty standard. Whenever you're in an area and you don't fit the beauty standard, that's a whole nother ball game. But my point is that traveling really allowed me to see that people live differently and people value things differently, and that the world is so huge. So if you don't fit in where you are, there's somewhere else in the world that you will fit in. The world is so big, and there's so many different kinds of people and cultures, and it's also beautiful. So I think it's important for a kid who has a difference to see that if they don't fit into some place, that they will fit in somewhere in this world. And I know it sounds crazy to send your kid on a plane to another country and then they come back in 2 weeks, or they're supposed to, but just do it. Don't let your fear of something happening to your kid prevent them from an incredible opportunity that will change their life. The next thing I'll say is that if you have a child who's a girl and she has a different and she has one arm, clothes are going to be a challenge. I plan on making a video about going shopping with one arm and the different struggles that there are, because there's a lot of cute tops that I can't wear because of how the shoulders are or how deep the cut is. If you know a seamstress, befriend them, because anyone who wears clothes that fit them properly will feel more confident. If you're missing an arm or missing a leg, you find someone that can help tailor your clothes to fit you best so you can feel more confident. And then the next thing that I'll say is the importance of keeping their bodies strong. My body has had to compensate for the asymmetry that I have. So because of that, my right obliques are much tighter and stronger than my left, and my right leg is bigger than my left leg. And so now that I'm in physical therapy and now that I have a workout regimen, I'm really trying to even out the discrepancy. However, had I been taking care of my body and training it and keeping it strong from the beginning, I would have had much less neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain. I've really been tearing my body apart, and if you have one arm, for example, you really need to protect and make sure that your upper body is strong. That way it can withstand the various loadings that you're going to put it under. If you have one arm, for example, your core needs to be incredibly strong and nurtured, because that's what's going to stabilize you. And my core was not strong for the longest time, and so I started stabilizing with my neck, and that actually caused me to get some TMJ, and it caused right under here to get tight, and then I would get headaches, and it was just this mess. You'll save yourself a lot of time, and you'll stay strong if you just take care of it from the beginning. So as a parent, I would really encourage you guys to make sure that your kid stays strong. And the last thing is being confident and owning it. I've had many people say that they didn't realize that I had one arm until like a couple of hours after hanging out with me, and they said that that was because of the way that I carried myself. I don't carry myself like I have one arm, I guess. I don't really know what that means, but I guess it means that I don't carry myself like there's something wrong with me. I mean, I feel like I have two arms, and maybe that's because I was born with one arm, and so I don't know any different. I carry myself like this is me, this is what I've got. That is very powerful and will help your kid move through life and achieve success. So, alright guys, that's what I have to say to those parents who have kids with differences. And just to wrap it up, I am still fundraising for Camp for All. It's a camp that allows kids with differences the opportunity to go to camp. I will put the link to their website below so you can see, and I will also put the link to the fundraising page below as well. All the money goes straight to them. I don't handle it. So yeah, please go and donate. Just $2, $3, whatever you got. I will greatly appreciate it. The two highest donors, I'll be sending a gift of a $50 value from my online health and wellness website. I'll be putting the link to that below as well. Alright guys, yes, as usual, like, share, comment, subscribe, all the goods. Here's my Instagram. And yeah, alright, I'll see you guys next Wednesday. Bye.